before we dive into this eerie tale, let me ask you something. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or state in the comments. I want to see where all the true crime lovers are at. And if you love stories with mystery, suspense, and answers that arrive when no one's even looking anymore, then hit like, share this video, and subscribe, because this is one of those stories. A girl vanishes in 1973. Her case turns cold. No body, no suspects, just a missing girl, a few broken hearts, and time, an unforgiving amount of it. But then, 5 decades later, in a completely different state, inside a dusty attic, something surfaces. Something that changes everything. And in the end, the case? It seems like it solved itself. But did it really? Because what investigators found in 2023 opened more questions than it answered. Marlow Creek, Pennsylvania, is the kind of town that could be the setting of a postcard. Rolling hills, weathered barns, and white picket fences. The kind of place where secrets seem impossible to keep. But Emily Hastings became one. Emily, known as Em to her friends, was 17 years old when she disappeared. She was the daughter of a nurse and a high school teacher, a top student, an aspiring actress, and maybe the most recognizable teen in town thanks to her lead role in the school's upcoming summer production of Our Town. July 17, 1973, was just like any other sweltering summer afternoon. Emily had stayed after school for rehearsal and was last seen walking home around 6:45 p.m. She never made it. The first signs that something was wrong came from her mother. Em always called to say when she'd be late. Always. But this time, nothing. By 8 p.m., her father was out canvassing the neighborhood. By midnight, police were involved. By the next morning, the entire town was in a panic. The woods behind the school were searched. Lakes were dredged. Dozens of locals joined the hunt. Flyers with Emily's face were stapled to telephone poles, taped inside diners, and mailed to neighboring counties. But as the days passed, hope began to fade. There was no blood, no signs of struggle, no ransom demand, no personal belongings, except for her backpack, which was found days later by the creek, soaked and empty. Her diary was missing. So was a leather bracelet her father had made for her just weeks before. The police questioned teachers, classmates, and friends. There were rumors of a secret boyfriend, whispers of a troubled classmate who had weird obsessions. But nothing concrete ever came of it. 6 months later, the police closed the active investigation. Emily Hastings was declared missing, presumed dead. And just like that, the case went cold. The 1980s came and went. Then the 90s. People moved away. New kids grew up never hearing Emily's name. Her parents never left Marlow Creek. Her mother, Helen, would sit on the front porch every summer night, staring down the road as if waiting for Em to walk up it again. Her father died in 2001, still without answers. Every few years, someone would report a sighting. A waitress in Vermont, a homeless woman in Ohio, a silent woman who resembled Em working at a bookstore in Arizona. All dead ends. It wasn't until July of 2023, exactly 50 years to the day, that the first real break came. And it came from 1,500 miles away. Claire Monroe was 34 years old when her grandmother, Linda Vance, passed away. She'd flown into Boulder, Colorado, to help her mom sort through Linda's things and prepare the house for sale. Claire remembered the house from childhood visits. The heavy drapes, the smell of cedar and old perfume, the locked upstairs bedroom that she was never allowed in. Her grandmother used to say, "That room is for grown-up things." Now, as Claire stood in that room for the first time, dust particles dancing in the afternoon light, she felt uneasy, but she kept going. She opened drawers, lifted blankets, tapped the walls, and then she found the box. It was small, wooden, with a delicate silver clasp. Locked. No key. She almost tossed it aside, but curiosity won. Inside the box were letters, dozens of them, folded and tied with faded red ribbon. And beneath the letters was a leather bracelet, worn, fraying at the edges, with 2 letters carved into it, H. Claire paused. She didn't recognize the name, but the handwriting on the letters was young, frantic, filled with pleading. She picked one at random and read. He says I'll never see daylight again if I try to leave. I want to scream, but he says no one would come anyway. Claire Googled the initials, then the phrases from the letters, and within minutes, she found Emily Hastings, the missing girl, the cold case, the unanswered nightmare from Marlow Creek. She froze, and then she called the police. What happens when a 50-year-old cold case suddenly lights up with new evidence? Detectives from Pennsylvania were stunned when they got the call. Emily Hastings' bracelet had been found, and it was in the home of a woman with no known connection to Marlow Creek. The investigation ramped up overnight. DNA analysis confirmed that the bracelet was Emily's. The leather matched a photo of her from 1973. Wearing it, the letters were authenticated. Forensic experts confirmed that the earliest ones dated back to the mid-70s. The ink, the paper, all matched. The author was writing from a place of fear. She referenced details only someone familiar with the case would know. But then the trail got darker. Once the letters were authenticated, the next step was clear. Who lived in that house when those letters were written? Claire's grandmother, Linda Vance, had purchased a Boulder home in 1974. That same year, she married a man named Richard Vance, a quiet, private man who, according to family, worked from home and had some kind of government clearance. He died in 1992 of a stroke and was cremated. But here's where the story takes its first real twist. Detectives couldn't find any records of a Richard Vance before 1974. No birth certificate, no high school, no employment. It was as if he simply appeared that year. But buried deep in archive files in Pennsylvania was a fingerprint card, one that had never been matched. It belonged to Harold Green. Harold Green worked as a janitor at Marlow Creek High School in 1973. He was a loner, reportedly strange around the female students, and had suddenly disappeared just a few months after Emily vanished. Further digging revealed he'd legally changed his name in Nevada before moving to Colorado. Harold Green was Richard Vance. Suddenly, everything came into focus. The janitor at Emily's school had taken her, and for 50 years, no one had ever suspected him. As investigators read through the letters, it became heartbreakingly clear. Emily had been alive for some time after she vanished. The first letter, dated August 1973, just 1 month after her disappearance, read, "He has a basement. It's cold. No windows. He watches me eat. I pretend to be somewhere else." Another, from 1974, "Sometimes he brings me books. Other times, he brings nothing. I dream about grilled cheese. I dream about my mom." The content ranged from terrified whispers to moments of hope. But in 1976, the letters shifted. The writing changed. The structure, the tone. There were now references to places and events Emily couldn't have known about. Even the phrasing felt different, more performative. One letter, dated 1978, made investigators stop cold. "I'm doing better now. He takes me on walks. I think I'll write a book someday about all this." It was too clean, too controlled. And then came the final twist. A letter from Emily referencing a movie that wasn't released until 1981, 2 years after police believed she died. That's when experts confirmed it. The later letters weren't written by Emily. Someone had been pretending to be her. Months passed as the investigation grew. In early 2024, Claire, still haunted by everything she'd found, returned to the Boulder house. Something about that upstairs bedroom still didn't sit right with her. She walked the room, knocking on walls, searching every corner. And then, behind a wardrobe, she found it, a loose floorboard. Underneath was plastic wrapped paper, moldy, water damaged. Inside was a diary, Emily's. The final entry, dated July 17th, 1973, read, "He followed me again today. I told him to leave me alone, but he kept smiling. He said no one would believe me anyway. I'm cutting through the woods. I'll be home soon. Please." The ink stopped abruptly. The final word, "please." The discovery confirmed what police had feared. Emily never ran away. She was taken that night, and most likely killed shortly after. The diary, preserved on the floorboards, had been hidden for decades by someone who didn't want it found. And that someone was now dead. Here's what investigators now believe happened. July 17th, 1973. Emily is abducted on her walk home by Harold Green, the school janitor. He'd been watching her, possibly even reading her diary. 1973 to 1975. Emily is held captive in a basement, likely in a property Green owned outside Marlow Creek. Several of the letters confirm the presence of chains, a mattress, and a bucket for water. Sometime in 1975 or 1976, Emily tries to escape or is murdered. Her body has never been found, but detectives believe Green buried her in an unregistered plot of land in rural Colorado, which he visited under an alias. 1976 to 1981. Green forges letters in Emily's handwriting, possibly to reassure himself or create plausible deniability if ever questioned. The letters reference pop culture and books, but the voice is not hers. 1992. Green dies. The letters, bracelet, and diary remain hidden in his home until Claire finds them in 2023. Emily's case, cold for 50 years, is officially reopened, and now it's listed as closed, homicide, perpetrator deceased. But the final piece of the story, it belongs to Claire. Claire Monroe was just trying to clean out an attic. Instead, she became the person who solved a decades-old mystery and gave closure to a family and a town that had stopped hoping. In 2024, she flew to Marlow Creek for the first time. She met Emily's surviving relatives. Together, they held a memorial service for Emily in the school auditorium where she last performed. A plaque now hangs in the lobby, in memory of Emily Hastings, the girl who never gave up her voice. And the diary? It's preserved in a climate-controlled exhibit at the Marlow Creek Historical Society, a haunting reminder of a voice silenced too soon and found far too late. Now I want to hear from you. Backhand index pointing right, do you think someone helped Richard Vance keep Emily hidden all those years? Backhand index pointing right, should police keep searching for her remains? Backhand index pointing right, and most importantly, what would you have done if you found those letters in an attic? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every one of them. And if this story moved you, hit like, share this video, and subscribe to True Crime Reels, where we bring cold cases, solve mysteries, and chilling twists right to your screen. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and never stop asking questions.